guys, Pamela here from the Honey Sea Star, and welcome to Crafting with Pam. So today, in the spirit of Halloween and favorite part, trick-or-treating, we are going to make these super cute quilled witches hats. And so one thing that's really nice about these is they have an open bottom. So not only is it a cute little trick, but it also has room for a really sweet treat. And so they're great for sharing, whether it be friends or family, coworkers, teachers, sky's the limit. So we'll let you be creative on who you want to share these with. But also too, the one thing that we're going to really cover here today is variations so that you can make them your own. The one thing I've noticed, and I'll be honest, I don't know many witches, but I typically run into them around October 31st. And the one thing I've seen for sure is that they range from absolutely adorable to super, super cute, particularly when they're looking for candy. So we'll go over a few options here today on how you can make them your own, give them their own little fashion. And so we'll cover different types of feet, whether you want to add a little dangle for the legs or two, even if you want to make them hanging versus just sitting. So let's get started. So first we're going to start by making the hat. And so we're going to need roughly about 12 quilling strips. Now I like to pre-cut my own, so these are kind of a hodgepodge that roughly equates to about 12 quilling strips. And to make the rolling process easier, we're just going to start by gluing these all together so we've got one big strand. Now if we make this into an ornament, we want to account for that extra material that we're going to thread through the center. So you'll do a loose roll. I'm just going to grab a toothpick because I like to use unconventional tools. And we're going to start winding this up so we've got a circular disc for our project. Once it gets far enough along on the toothpick, I'm going to start using my hands. Now, they do also make battery-powered quilling winders. That way you kind of save yourself some time there as well. I find this gives me more control over my project though. So we're just going to wind this up, and then at the end we're going to secure it with our glue. Now, if we want to make this a hanging ornament, I just grabbed some jute, I glued the ends together to a tip for threading purposes, and then I just thread it through, and I'm going to use a toothpick here to secure the end. And then on the other side, I'm going to tie a knot. Cut off the loose ends. And then I'm going to pull the jute through from the other side using the toothpick. Now we can start shaping. So one advantage to an ornament is that you can actually use the jute to pull the top through to kind of start shaping the top of your cone. Otherwise you can use other tools. I've used buttonhole makers, etc. So I'm just separating the paper layers as I go, slightly pinching and rotating as I move along down the project. And basically we're just looking for a cone here. Now, because I do work with scrap paper, different papers react differently, and some are more playful as opposed to some kind of get stuck together. So another option you can do is just a gentle pull with a gentle wiggle, just to kind of loosen those paper layers apart. That way it's nice and even with your shape. And then once we've got about the right height, I'm going to go ahead and find the back seam. And then I'm just going to start kind of shaping it here so it's got a little bit of a bent hat look. Now, the main thing to keep in mind here is you're only working with 1/4 of an inch. So I will say it's rather difficult, but it is possible to save your project. It's always worth a shot. You can always just try and tuck those layers in if they're not too far out. In this case, we were able to save it. However, in most cases, I'll forewarn you, you kind of have to start over. But mulligan, We're just going to start again by kind of bending the hat here in one direction, and then I'm going to switch to the top and bend it in the other. And there we go. Now we can start securing our project here. And so to secure it, I'm just dripping beads of glue along the inside so I've got adequate coverage for the whole project. And then using a Q-tip, I'm just going to spread that glue around so that all of the layers inside are covered. Now, once the top of our hat is drying here, let's go ahead and make the brim. And so you'll need about 24 strips of quilling paper. And again, to make the winding process easier, I'm just going to glue these all together so we've got one big long strand. Now, again, I like to use unconventional tools here, so this is just some old tubing from some wiring. But I'm just basically going to use this so I've got enough space on the inside of my hat to fit a trinket inside once we're all done. And so to start it off, I'm just going to wind it around one time, add some glue, and then continue on the process here with layering it together. Now, once I get to that first seam, I'm just going to correct it, make sure everything's lining up. And then once I get to about a 1/16 of an inch to an 1/8 of an inch thick, I'm going to pull the paper off of the tubing here and then wind the rest by hand. And so winding it by hand, it will still be soft. You'll reshape it when it's all done, but basically I just go a couple of rounds and then add a bead of glue as I go, just so that the project is secure and is holding itself pretty tight here along the way. And then once it's all wound up, I'm going to secure the end with another bead of glue. And then I'm just going to reshape the project so that it's back to a circular form and less ovular. Now while we set that to dry, I'm going to also go ahead and put a ring around the top of glue. And this is just to strengthen it since it'll be the brim of our hat. But with a Q-tip again, I'm just going to spread that glue around so that it's covering all paper layers on the top. And then while those two are drying, let's make some shoes. So I just grabbed some orange paper. This is about 6 inches long, cut to an 1/8 of an inch. And I'm just rolling it up with a toothpick and letting it relax. I'm going to do that for 2. And then I'm going to go ahead and secure them at a loose roll with some glue here. Once you've secured the end, let's go ahead and make a point for the toe. And so basically I'm just pinching it. That way it shapes a teardrop. And then I'm giving it a little bit of a twist at the end. We're going to do that with both. And then while those are drying, let's make another variation of shoe. So I just wound up some lime green cut to the same length and width, glued it together. Then I'm going to pinch it for the toe. Do a flat edge for the back. Now at this point I'm going to actually fold the back in half. That's the part that'll secure to the hat. And then I'm going to pinch it for the toe. That way she's got a toe curling up like the Wicked Witch of the West. And then also pinch down for the arch of the foot. Now while those are drying, let's go ahead and make some legs. So I just grabbed some jute again, secured the end with some glue. That way it's easier to thread through. And we're going to grab our orange shoe, and I'm going to thread this through the center of that spiral part. Once it's threaded, I'm just going to tie a knot at the end. We'll cut off the excess jute there at the bottom. And then as I scoot this shoe down, before I get to the knot, I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on the knot itself. That way when I position the shoe onto the knot, everything will be held in place as it dries. So there we go. We've got a cute little shoe with a cute little leg. We're going to make a second one here. And then while those are drying, let's go ahead and secure the top of the hat to the brim. So I just grabbed my tacky glue and I'm going to put a bead around the whole rim on the inside of the top part of the hat. And the reasoning why is as this sits, it's actually going to drip down and get a really good seal between that and the inside of the brim. So we're going to take the top of the brim and I just basically position both seams on the back. That way when the ornament is facing you, you won't see them. Then we just attach that to the top, let it dry. So in the meantime, let's go ahead and secure those cute little green shoes here to this other hat. So I grab my tacky glue again, and on the back part where that seam is, I'm just going to put some glue there. I'm going to find the back edge seam because I want that to be on the back of our ornament. And then kind of at a diagonal of the front here, I'm going to secure the shoe so that the toe is pointing up. I'm going to do the same thing with the second one. Now if you have any excess glue that you need to clean off, this is another perfect opportunity for a toothpick to get in those tight edges there, clean off that excess glue. And then while we're at it, let's go ahead and add a cute little brim to match those orange shoes onto that middle hat there. So, starting at the back, I've put some glue on an 1/8 inch strip of orange. I'm just going to go ahead and secure that. And then it really helps, again, perfect opportunity for a toothpick here. As you wind the orange around the hat, it really works well for getting a tight seal on that orange strip there. Now I did go ahead and fold over the end piece there. That way she's got a little bit of ribbon for the hat too. And then on this green one, I figured we'd dress up the hat with a cute little button that I've just been dying to find an excuse to use. So here's this button here. I'm just going to grab my tacky glue and put some of that on the back. And then right behind that ribbon on the side, I'm going to go ahead and put that button there, dress her up, because each witch has her own style, so. And there you go. Now, to add the legs for the other one here, I'm going to grab some tacky glue, put it along the strand of the jute, and then secure it on the inside of the hat. Do the same thing with the second one. And then set those guys to dry. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and more importantly, I hope you've got a couple of ideas to take with you to make your season a little bit more fun and festive this Halloween. One thing I did want to cover before we go is once these are all dry, if you want to give them a little bit more of a polished look, what you can do is just spray the outside with a quick coat of either clear glaze or a clear poly finish. And what that'll really do is bring the vibrancy of the color of the paper out, as well as give it a little bit of a shine. That way it's ready. So please like and subscribe, help support the channel, and I will see you in the next crafting video. Take care and happy Halloween.